Charles, you're going to tell him a great story about forgiveness.
Can we do this without the cat?
Stop right there.
Our story begins 2,000 years ago when baby Jesus came into the world.
Wait, stop. If it's not about a king, then I'm not interested.
This story is about the King of Kings. It is a great story.
All right, folks, we're back here. Final segment on Human Events Daily. Want to thank Real America's Voice as well as the Salem Radio Network audience with the third hour of the Charlie Kirk Show. Folks, we got big movie news out of Hollywood, out of the box office. And people say, so why do you care so much about movies? Why do you care? Why do you talk about this? Because look, movies are how America, not increasingly as much, but still in many respects, movies are how the American people can vote with their dollars. This shows you a pulse. It's a snapshot, but been trying to over the last couple of years to really explain to people that the way the movie market, the box office works, is actually a better snapshot of the American people than opinion polls, than all this other stuff out there. And so when I'm talking about what's going on in the culture, you have to understand this is where the American people are. So if you want, it's not about like, oh, did I like, Snow White or whatever, Little Mermaid. No, it's not about that. It's about what is America responding to. Well, guess what? America just took a big old tomato from Rotten Tomatoes, an actual Rotten Tomato, and hurled it at the screen, I guess, when it comes to Snow White. This movie is a global disaster. It's a disaster with its hair on fire. It's a disaster that was poisoned worse than the poison apple. I think more people were rooting for the apple than they were for Snow White. So the idea was that they were going to, again, we talked about this, the race swapping, the changing of the main character, taking out someone who, again, we know that her skin is as white as snow. That's right in the title. And they were going to put this person in who has this strange Rachel Zegler anti-male bias. Whenever she gives interviews, she talks about how much she doesn't like the source material, how much she didn't like the original one. She said the original Snow White was dated. She said there were problems with it. Remember, Snow White, this was the movie that built Disney. This was a movie that Walt Disney himself carefully crafted. Every single frame, every single cell of the animation was from Walt Disney, the man himself. That's why that movie took off and became the blockbuster phenomenon that it was, and literally put Disney on the map with Disneyland opening, years later. So the movie is a disaster, completely destroyed. Rachel Zegler's career is in flames. Disney looks like they may have lost. People are telling me, depending on estimates, $300 to $400 million on this project. But of course, to the unhumans, the cultural destruction is the point. They want you to suffer. But here's the good news, folks. While audiences completely rejected Snow White, what are they embracing? Boom. King of Kings. This movie, it's getting blockbuster status now. King of Kings just broke another record. So two record-setting movies here. One for Snow White for being one of the worst movies ever, and another called King of Kings. This movie, which is from Angel Studios, of course, the same guys who did Sound of Freedom. They do The Chosen, which, by the way, also has a version of The Last Supper. I think it's like the first 2-3 episodes of that season are now available in theaters right now. They did King of Kings, so it's Charles Dickens' telling of the Passion of the Christ is up as an animated movie. It's out at Easter, and it just set a record for the highest animated biblical-based movie of all time. Of all time. And so here you go, folks. Here you go. I think Moses, Prince of Egypt was the last one. And that was like 20 years ago. Folks, there's an audience that wants this again. All of this stuff does well at the box office. America is shifting back from the cultural destruction of postmodernism and the deconstruction of narratives of Snow White. And they're actually find me a story. Right, King of Kings, and I get attacked for saying Christ is king. Find me a story that is widely accepted in the world that is more ancient, right? More ancient than the story of Christ. than that actual story directly from a Bible. It's 2,000 years old. Everybody knows it. So think about it. Are we saying, is that dated? Some things will never be dated because some things are timeless, because some things are greater than, because some things will never end. Some things are infinite. Some things are, and in this case, very literally divine.